Hi, so I want to give another example of how the parachute method worked on that day and how it's then continued to work where implemented. And also it helped strengthen my belief massively in using this to play holes, using this strategy. So the second hole that day was a very interesting hole. So we had par 5, 476 yards. We had 2 ditches to go over, of which I think the total carry was probably about 200. We had a lake that impinged and came in on the fairway here, trees back left, and reasonably open, a few scattered trees here, and then another fairway coming up here. So using this particular method, what I realised straight away that this ditch, which was at 200 yards, really took most of the longer clubs out. If obviously I'd have been an extremely big hitter, then that would have been another point. But even then, so if I hit a bit extra and got a little bit of run, then I could actually fall into the water here. So I looked into the options, and this particular shot was really on it. It had a 30-yard radius. It was a 6 iron, 160 yards. So I felt that was well within my capabilities. But I also felt that I couldn't hit it long enough to get into the ditch, or short enough to get in that ditch, and so I made it into the middle there quite nicely. And you know, I'm a great believer. There's a book called Fearless Golf, and all golf should be played fearlessly. And I think that once I put this into action, I began to notice that the swings were fearless because I knew I was within my parameters of error. It didn't mean I couldn't make an error, but I was within the major parameters of my error. Now the next shot got even more interesting, because even though it's 476, the kind of hole that I want to try and get on in 2, the next shot, the lake came in quite narrow, the fairway came in quite narrow here, which meant that I had 130 yards to go. Now I could have gone 9 iron there, but then I thought, well, if I really get one and get a bouncy lie, I could again get a bit of draw and I could go into the lake on the left. So I chose wedge, and luckily it got a good bounce and it went 130 yards, leaving me probably 186 to the pin. Again, when I looked at this area here, all of the trouble was over here. There was a fair bit of ground here. Yeah, there was some interesting debates about the fact that should I be hitting a par 5 in 3 in my head, but I went no. So I had 180 yards to go. I was lucky enough just to get a little bit extra on it, get a little bit of draw. Finished on the front edge. The pin was quite near the front edge, and I hold the putt. Now, you can only begin to imagine how good you feel when you've used this strategy to get somewhere and actually get what you were hoping to do with the Cavalier strategy. And I'm guessing, because I can only guess, but I know if I was playing this hole regularly, I could produce the statistics of those. If I compared 100 going for it in 2, 100 using this method, what would my scores be? I definitely take eagle out. There's no two ways about it. Eagle comes out the picture. But the birdies come into the picture more because I'm going to have more opportunities at birdies. And some of those birdies may be, well, chipping in from here, okay, or long putts, especially if that pin's at the back of the green. And maybe on certain days, if the wind's blowing a little bit, I can only have to hit a forward to get here, to get into that area, and that's within my dispersion area. So it doesn't matter what shot I choose as long as it's within my dispersion area. So whatever club, if the wind is a little bit warm or it's wind and the dispersion area is one where it doesn't go into the rough, it has to carry the lake. It will never be shorter, and it's not far enough to go in the water, then I can hit that club and it still might be available to me in 2 on the right days. Other days I might get into a little bit of trouble here. So if it's very cold and the wind's blowing in this direction, I might not have a club whose parameters cover that area, and I may actually have to go here. But that doesn't matter too much, because even if I have to hit an 80-yard shot to there, I've then got an easy distance carry to here, which is where I've shot from before. And even if that means that I'm going to pull short of this particular one, I'm still in a safe area and I've got a really good opportunity for an up and down. You know, this is backed up completely by a piece of work that came out of the Golf Channel, and I'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow, and how these methods all work together and will conspire to bring your handicap down without changing a single thing. Just the way you use your mind, playing fearless golf because you don't have to worry about any outcome, having nothing but good mental thoughts, good imagery, and following that through. I'll tell you a little bit more about the Golf Channel survey tomorrow. Thank you for listening, and stay safe.